evening, everybody, and welcome to TV Skywriter, which is kind of an offshoot of the Durham Skywriter, the online newspaper that I publish. So welcome, I'm Pat Murray, your host. I'd like to introduce you to really cool people I think you really need to know. Now, if you're curious about live streaming, maybe you've heard about it, and you're trying to say, well, gee, one of these days I want to get up the courage to be on camera, see what that's like, but I don't know anything about it. Well, your dream has come true. My guest, Ross Brand, as far as I know, knows just about everything there is to know about live streaming. I know I've already embarrassed him, but anyway, let us bring him on. Let's learn more about live streaming. I think we're both using StreamYard. So if we do mention StreamYard, if we do mention other platforms like Blab, those are live streaming apps, and you'll hear more about it in just a second. Let's bring him on. Hey, it's time for TV Skywriter. Ross, how are you?
I'm great, Patricia. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. And it's Pat. We've known each other for years now.
Okay. Even on the air, we'll be informal, okay?
Yeah. So how have you been, Ross?
I'm great. And I'm so excited to be on here. You've had so many interesting creative people, from artists and writers and musicians and local officials and all different interesting people on over the years. So it's an honor to be on. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And in fact, what I'm going to do while I'm saying hello to you, I'm going to add to the chat the name of your book, and we will be talking about that. But first, here's the thing. I didn't really realize that you started out on radio, and so did I. So I just want to start out asking you to, like in your personal experience, to compare your radio experience with live streaming.
Okay. So the skill set has some similarities. Both are largely, in terms of what we do, talk show, news, information, a little bit of our personality comes in, but it's a very audio format. Even though we have cameras, the conversation, the interaction, it's live. So that's a lot like radio. Audiences come in and out in the middle of it, and the ability to host a show, tell stories, conduct interviews, and share information, knowledge, humor, all that is very similar, I think, between the two mediums. What's completely different is if you are working and going live on a radio station, you've got a built-in audience. In many cases, the radio station's been around longer than your great-grandparents, right? And people in that market are just attuned to tuning in at certain times. And so hopefully you don't hurt that audience, and maybe you make it a little better, but you don't have to create your own audience.
Good point.
In post-Blab live streaming, because Blab was a unique platform that went away in 2016, but for a short period of time, it had a community of people who were always looking for options to watch live streams and communicate with people. And so there was tremendous discovery. In general, you have to bring your own audience. You have to build it. You have to nurture it. You have to develop it. So that's a huge difference. I'd say the second huge difference is you don't have to really worry as much about a clock. In radio, everything's, we got to take a break at this time. We've got news, traffic, weather, sponsors. We get In this, we can say we're going to do an hour show, and there's a lot going on, and we can stay on for 3 hours if we want. Or we can say we're going to do an hour show. We get through everything in 15 minutes, and, we wrap up. And then there's pre-show and post-show. There's so much flexibility.
Definitely.
And you have full ability to do whatever you want with it, as long as you stay within what the platforms will permit you to do, which is still far more freedom than a news director or a program director in radio would give you. If you're in radio, you're probably slotted into some niche, and that's what you do, and that's what you talk about, and it's the same thing every day.
And there's no cussing. And there's no cussing until after 10 p.m.
But with live streaming, there's a lot more creativity in terms of what we can do and the format. And then, of course, most obvious thing is the video camera. And one of these days I'll get more used to looking at the video camera. I'm still doing this very much radio style, but it's, like I say, it's largely an audio medium in a lot of ways, plus the camera.
Well, I really like live streaming. I'll tell you, here's one reason why. I'll do this again and show you why I like live streaming so much. You can say hello
Yes.
to your listeners and or viewers. Barb, we all know her. We met her on Blab.
Yeah. Hey, Barb.
So you can't do that on radio. You don't know who's listening to you. You don't know if anybody's listening to you. But here's the thing. I'll tell you why I really switched over to live streaming. More than one reason, but I did have a radio show on WNCU. It was a spinoff of the Durham Skywriter. It was called, of course, Radio Skywriter.
Right.
Which is why my show is called TV Skywriter now. But here's the thing, Ross. My show, it was a half-hour show, and sometimes they could nix my guest. Sometimes I would want to have a guest on that was having maybe a fundraiser. And the person, even though I was a volunteer, but the boss lady would say, well, they're not spending any money with us.
Right.
Why should we help them raise money? And I'd be like, but they're helping the community. But I couldn't really argue.
Right.
But the biggest reason that I switched over to live streaming was with WNCU, my show would be available for 3 weeks and then it would disappear forever. With live streaming, if you have the patience, you can go through all of my videos on my YouTube channel. You can go all the way to the beginning. I think I started live streaming TV Skywriter. It might have been 2012 or 13 or so. I was a blob. I didn't even know about fast speed, turbo speed internet.
Right.
And so you could barely even see me. I was just beige blob with a voice.
I sat in the dark pretty much when I started. I didn't understand lighting, or I was using the built-in camera in my laptop.
And look how you've really Ross, you have taken the live streaming ball and totally run down the street with it.
Oh, thanks. I like the freedom of it too. I mean, I just like the fact that I can go live when I want to. I can pick a time that works for me. If there's a way to monetize it, that goes to me and the people that I'm working with.
Good point.
Right? Like, not the station. I own my content, all that stuff, and it's just really like it's more like kind of like you got to run a business, but at the same time, you get the rewards, you get the fruit of the business. You're not doing it for somebody else. And you don't have to worry that, the station that you're on is going to get sold in the middle of the night and you come back the next day and it's a country station and they don't want you anymore. Or, some new person gets hired from a big market and they want to give that person your time slot and they tell you, well, 2 to 6 a.m. is still open. So you don't have any of those worries.
Let me tell you the story, man. I was going to sign, I can say this now that I'm no longer with WNCU. I was about to sign on to another radio station, an AM station, and it was called what was it called? WDUR? No, WDNC.
WDNC.
And there was a WDUR back when I was younger. But anyway, so I was going to sign up with them. I was going to do a show. And the week before, they wanted me to come in and sign the paperwork and all this stuff. And so I called in to see, what time they wanted me to stop by. And so I'm like, hello. And the guy answers and I could tell he's like crying.
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And he said, we went sports. So the format of the station changed to a sports station, which meant that was it for me.
Right.
But so you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing I could have done. I'm glad I didn't ever mention it to the folks at the other radio station because that would have probably messed me up a little bit. Another thing that happened, Ross, was that they syndicated my show to another station that paid for the rights to rebroadcast my show on their frequency.
Right.
Did I see any of it?
Of course not.
No. How are they making money off of me?
Right, right.
I didn't mind. I was a volunteer, but still, you're right. If there's money to be made, sponsorships, whatever, it can go to the host with live streaming.
Right, right. And although I don't have a story like yours where the station changed format overnight, or or I never got moved to 2 a.m. or something. It's still it's something that you live with, knowing that once you have an experience where there's a drastic change at a station, that weighs on you. You still, and the other thing is, if you want to get to the next level, sometimes it requires moving. And that's also, we can do this. If I have to move, I can set up, this could look exactly the same and I could be on the other side of the world. But I won't be on the other side of the world because that's the only way I could get my next live stream show. I can do this from here forever if I want to, or at least until people say, well, he's kind of lost it or whatever.
And I actually have done my daily show. For those who might not be in Durham, they might not know this. I have a daily show called Bull City Hangout at noon on weekdays, 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Basically, I tell people what's happening today in Durham. Then I invite people to click and join me on camera. And I've done that show from Chicago if I knew that I was going to be home visiting my family, and I still wanted to do my show. And I did the show from Chicago. I did the show when I was traveling. I think I did my show. Let's see, I went to a conference in New Orleans. I went to a conference in Nashville. I did the show from the hotel.
Yeah.
It was cool.
And it's still a local show in Durham, right?
Exactly. Nothing changed except my location.
Right.
So when did you really take this serious, Ross? Because we all pretty much met on Blab. Blab was for a lot of people, not for me because I was on Google Plus Hangouts, but for a lot of people who had not been on camera before, Blab was their first experience. Live streaming, and all live streaming means is doing a show live with a laptop, phone, or tablet to an audience. In my case, sometimes, like when I first started, to no one in particular. But still, it means that you are live, you're talking, you're looking into a camera. And it was a new thing for a lot of us when Blab came along. And then, of course, you came along. We all knew Ross. You started interviewing people and whatnot and experimenting with different shows. But when did you really realize this was really something special and you wanted to actually take it serious?
Honestly, I mean, I realized it within minutes of I had stopped working in radio about 7-8 years before I found Blab. And I didn't even know what Blab was when I went in there. Brian Fanzo had posted a lot about live streaming. And then he posted something like, we're having a Twitter chat, and then we're going to talk about it in Blab. So I thought this was like some sort of enhancement to a Twitter chat or whatever. And I walked in and I'm like, this is like talk radio heaven here. I'm jumping around. I'm looking at all these different shows and I'm like, oh my God. And everybody's talking about business and marketing and what they're doing. And you had a lot of entrepreneurs. And I said, there's something about this. People are good at this and they're interesting and they're, and look at the conversations that they're having. And within days, I started a Livestream Universe Twitter account. Okay. And I started just sharing what people were doing when they were going live.
That's right. You would always promote everybody else's shows.
And I wasn't planning on going live. I was like, nope, I'm done with broadcasting, from being on the mic, whatever. I never wanted to be on camera. I'm not doing it. I'm going to be the media for it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start this like it's a business. I don't know if anything will ever come out of it. But let's come up with a good name, Livestream Universe. I really like the sound of that. Let's start a Twitter account. I think within 8 days, I had 500 followers on that Twitter account. I said, there's interest in this, isn't there? Now I haven't made that my main account is still my main account, but the fact I still use that account, and it's it's never taken off to be a huge account, but the fact that that was like the testing ground. So the next thing I did was I built a website, and the website was sort of like a magazine website, and I would put whose shows are on, and then I would embed shows and stuff like that.
Nice.
And I
want to thank you.
Oh yeah.
That was really nice of you.
Yeah, and after about a month and a half, I came up with the idea. Maybe I called into a couple of blabs. So again, I'm not hosting shows. I'm just calling in to lend my 2 cents, right? And I enjoyed it. So I said, maybe I could do a show to promote the website. And then, of course, after doing the show, I realized people were far more interested in my show than they were in whatever I was posting on the website. So I continued to promote people on social media and through my shows, but it didn't really become about being a journalist or having a news site. I became a participant in it, and I guess I've gone live a few times since then.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're very personable.
Oh, thanks.
You're very knowledgeable. Obviously, your radio experience is coming to the fore because you've got the gift of gab. Yeah, so this is perfect for you.
Yeah, I loved it instantly, and instantly there was something like I fell in love with broadcasting again, right? I was literally done with it, and it was a good experience in a lot of ways, but I had totally mentally moved on, right? And
really?
I think
because I thought they said once the broadcasting bug bites, you never recover from it. So you were actually
maybe I had talked myself into that I was done with it because I didn't want to look back as I was doing other things. And I think what helped me for going all in on live streaming is that I think a lot of people who are in radio and TV become addicted to having those call letters. Those call letters next to their name sort of validate the gatekeepers have let me in. I'm a somebody in the industry, right? But having been out of it for so long, I just looked at live streaming on its own merits and said, here's an opportunity. Here's something that I'm going to love this, right? And I'm going all in. And since I was done with the other stuff, I never looked at it like, oh, well, this is, I've heard some people say like podcasting's the minor leagues of radio. Well, not when Joe Rogan's doing it or other people who are making $100 million from it, right? So I didn't look at it as like this is the minor leagues of TV or something. I just looked at it as its own medium. And I mean, it's amazing how it's grown from blab wondering, hey, are we on? Is this thing gonna, is this gonna hold up if I bring a guest on? To, hey, we can be multi-streaming to multiple, numerous platforms and repurposing and, things have just so much advanced to where it used to be who knew where to plug what wire in was the advantage that they had to do this. Now it's really your personality.
And don't forget, some people really took advantage of the fact that we are all, or many of us were newbies to live stream. I'm not going to say that 𝗦𝗫𝗪𝗧𝗧 was wrong in doing so, but boy, were they clever in coming on to Blab. And also, what was that other, Periscope, especially.
Periscope,
I think they started on Blab and then really hit hard with Periscope, and Meerkat was the other one. So I'm not saying that they were wrong in doing so, but they sure were clever in selling their product. Archon mounts are what holds, folks, if you don't know, holds your camera aloft so that you can, have it in one position while you're live streaming.
I still got mine.
There you go. See?
I got a couple of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, they really, it was quite a heady experience to be on camera for many of us for the first time, developing an audience. And in fact, we're going to mention your book in a second, but I know a lot of people are going to get your book and they're going to try to figure out, where do I fit in? What kind of show can I do? Because I'm not really good at interviewing people. I just want you to help me point out all the different kinds of shows that you can do with live streaming. I've seen people put their phones like over their shoulder and have like cooking shows.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people do the same, and like that guy Joseph, he's an incredible artist. I've seen people show off their art while they're drawing and painting. Some people have I've done live streaming baseball, where I will stand where the media usually stands, behind home plate. And I have live streamed youth baseball and had a sizable audience. And give us some more ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it's unlimited. I mean, some people do tours around cities, and they take you with them in places where, you can't get to that historic location or that city, but you can go with them, and they don't even have to be on camera. They can point the camera away and show you everything that's beautiful. And because in that case, they're really taking advantage of the video, they can narrate and share stories, but they can also just be quiet and let you take it in. So there's a lot of different ways you can use it. If you're in business, you can interview your customers, you can interview your employees, you can talk about what's going on in your industry. I mean, you can go live by yourself, and like, I did with the updates, and you do with your daily show, you can give information about what other people are doing and talk about, it can be sort of a bulletin board for your area of interest or your local area. I mean, there's no limit to what people are doing. People are coaching on live video. They're playing music. They're doing. I mean, give me a niche, and I'll find somebody probably who's doing it on live video. But there have been some wild uses of it, and they're not all coming to my head at the moment, but they're out there.
There was a lady. I hope she's still doing this. She's in Florida, and I'm just pointing out that she's Jewish because I thought this was so interesting. She had a practice your English show on Facebook, and she attracted all these people from these Muslim countries, which I thought was interesting because it seems that group, or maybe in that part of the world, they really want to learn English. And I just thought it was interesting. Here's this Jewish lady, talking with all these folks from Muslim countries. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then they started sharing like Arabic words like mashallah and inshallah and all that kind of stuff, and just really cool. And then she had like it was almost like a club. Where she would focus and interview certain people, and then they would say, then she would allow them to practice their English, and they'd speak, and they'd say, "Oh, my English is bad," and she'd say, "Never say your English is bad. Your English is very good." It was a wonderful way of using live streaming. It was absolutely incredible, and the international aspect of it was, to me, very exciting. And actually, I have been able to interview people in different countries. I met a gentleman through her show who is a professional cricket team manager in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Wow.
And I got to interview him. That was awesome. I've interviewed people in Brazil, in Kenya, Canada, and it's just I'm just in love with live streaming. And Tony wants to say hello. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Tony.
Henderson Myers. Hello.
Tony's
and
awesome.
Live streaming is super fun. And another thing, like you said, you don't have to show your face. You can point the camera away from you. I have seen, let's see. I'll tell you what was really exciting. I don't know if I'll ever get to go to Egypt. I don't know if I ever will. But I got to take a tour of the pyramids. I didn't know, Ross, I don't know if this is exciting to you, but we've all seen the pyramids in Egypt, right? This person showed us that there are actually 7 pyramids. I think she said 7. The thing is, we usually see certain pyramids, the same 2 or 3.
Right.
She showed us the pyramids that have been worn down in time, and they're in I don't want to say horrendous, because I'm happy that they're still existing. They're thousands of years old.
Right.
But she said that maybe due to marketing positions, people are only showing
Right.
the good-looking pyramids, and she showed us the ones that are really, old
Right. Right.
and really kind of worn away through the winds of time, etc. I thought that was exciting. I also got to walk through the streets of Tehran, Iran. Someone took us a tour in Australia and showed us how many of us have a deer problem in our front yards.
Right.
This person said they have the same problem with kangaroos.
Oh,
and
wow.
showed us like a dozen kangaroos parked in his front yard, eating all of the whatever they eat, grass or
Right.
plants or whatever. Live streaming is so cool.
Right. It
You
really
can't beat it.
really makes it a small world. I mean, just in getting this book out and going live. I mean, I went live with a friend in Indonesia. I'm going to go live in a few days with someone in Portugal. I'm going to,
Cool. See?
I have my friends in Canada who I hope will get a copy and maybe we'll get a bestseller there, But it's, I mean, we have people from all over the world in the book as well. And
Let's
it's
talk
just
about
been-
this book.
Okay.
We've mentioned it a couple of times.
Sure. So it's 100 live streaming and digital media predictions, and it's actually the 6th edition of the predictions. You've been a part of them. We've had nearly, I think, 600 people contribute predictions over the years. And this time I came up with the really brilliant idea. I mean, is this brilliant or brilliant?
Okay.
I decided that maybe we should do the live streaming predictions during a live stream.
There you go. Hello?
So instead of just having people submit a few sentences by writing, I had a party for the 5th anniversary of Livestream Universe, and I invited, I don't know, hundreds of people. Everybody who had been a part of the predictions, I think, got an email from me, or had been a guest on the show, whatever. And so we had about 60 people join live during a 5-hour live stream. And of course, when people are talking rather than writing, it's not going to be a couple of sentences. There's going to be a lot more depth to it. Plus the conversations before and after, as you know, in live streaming, sometimes the topic brings us together, but the post shows us interesting or more interesting. So the whole thing, I ended up, when I transcribed it, after I cut away the fat and that which wouldn't go into a blog post, I said, well, this is basically a book. I mean, I've got like tens of thousands of words. So I went out and, I had 77 people for the actual blog post because I had about 17 people who couldn't make it but still submitted predictions. And then I just started, other people who wanted to come, or couldn't make it or whatever, just started asking them, hey, give me a prediction. And so then I would have some stuff that's unique to the book. So I've got 23, really 24, because one person dropped out. So I got 24 people who were exclusive to the book.
Nice.
I asked Jennifer Quinn, to write a forward for the book. She was the first guest I ever
That was
had
a nice one.
on a live stream show. So
She
that's
did a really good job.
I did a preface, put some resources at the back, and so there's a lot of new content there. And of course, it's a way for people who may be new to live streaming, and there's loads of people out there who are never going to read my blog or see that. So I'm excited about the fact that they'll be introduced to all these amazing people in the book.
Nice. So do you think that someone who has never live streamed before can read your book, get some of these tips and perhaps try it themselves?
I think there are tips for people of all different levels. So some predictions will make sense to you if you're new and you're like, that's a good idea. Maybe I should just do that. And other predictions will be more for people who are very experienced. So there's a whole wide range. And it's not just live streaming. It's podcasting. It's YouTube video creation. It's course creation. e-commerce, I mean, I didn't put any limits in, as long as it was sort of in the digital sphere, I didn't put any limits on what topics people could talk about. So
Nice.
there's
And
really a wide
congratulations,
range.
Ross. When you
Thanks.
said you transcribed it, how long did that take?
Oh, God, don't ask. It took a long time. It took a long time.
Wow.
I mean, I used AI to do it, but then to clean it up and make sense out of it, you know,
quite the undertaking.
yeah, that took a long time.
Yeah.
And it took 3 times as long, because after I had pulled out the core of the prediction, I decided I wanted to use the whole conversation, or as much of it as would make sense to somebody. So that's where, you know, I went back and really made a project out of it. And then, you know, I everybody knew I created a graphic with them. So the cool thing is, I think I'm going to do this, like, maybe I'll do this again for every year's predictions.
should.
I don't know. I mean, maybe this will become a series.
Now, Barb just took the words right out of my mouth. I was just about to ask you, it's almost ready, right?
It's almost there.
Almost.
It's almost there. It's going to be live. Both ebook and paperback will be live on Wednesday, the 28th. The ebook will be 99 cents in the beginning. So if you're thinking of buying it, definitely get it early. And I don't have the Amazon link yet, but when I do, you could go to livestreamuniverse.com/100predictions.
Okay.
And right now you'll get nothing if you go there. But once the book is live, you don't have to worry about finding a link to it. That will take you to the book link on Amazon.
And I can easily add that link to the show notes. You know, when I get them from you, I can just go back and because this is on YouTube as well, so I'll probably add it to the YouTube notes.
And the book also comes with some bonuses. So I went and found discounts and special offers, talked to some brands. And
nice.
So there's about maybe 12 to 15 products or services that you can get. Might be a month free. It might be 20% off an annual plan, whatever. So that's there, or it just might be a product that, like, it'll save you so much time that in itself is a discount. But they're all products that I would use, that I like. So that's in there. And then I have like a tip sheet for live streaming and some extra things that when you get the book, you can click a link and get those as well for the reader bonuses.
Nice. Now, for me, like I said, when I first started live streaming, I was on Google Plus Hangouts.
Right.
You know, Blab was it for you. Where did you go when Blab shut down in 2016?
I went to a platform called Fire Talk.
I did too. Okay.
And I liked Fire Talk at that time a lot. It seemed more professional than Blab. It had a, you know, more of a premium layout. Like, it just seemed like, okay, this is next level. It didn't have discovery, and it just never made it. But it was a nice platform.
I'll tell you what I like best about Fire Talk. Fire Talk had where you could, if you went to the Patricia A. Murray page,
right?
There were shows that I added to there was a playlist.
Right.
There was a revolving playlist where you could take out shows and add shows, so that when people went to your channel, they could actually watch the shows that you chose, for them to watch. I really like that aspect of Fire Talk. But like you said, it didn't make it. And I think after Fire Talk, I went to Huzzah.
Okay.
A couple more.
I went to Blue Jeans after.
Okay, I've heard of that.
I think they were free in the beginning.
Okay.
And that's when once they started charging, I sort of like, I don't know if it's worth it. It was very meeting oriented. It was not really like even
Zoom.
their terminology wasn't really. It was high quality. Yeah, it was sort of like Zoom in a way, but it was a little more broadcast than Zoom. But that's when I discovered Be Live, and
I've heard of that.
I fell in love with Be Live. Be Live was kind of a precursor to StreamYard. It was the first one where you could really start putting your lower thirds and overlays and all different types of professional elements on your broadcast. You didn't have total control like an OBS or a Wirecast, but you could start doing some professional elements without having a technical background. You could easily bring on guests. The quality, the stability wasn't totally there. It would degrade a bit when you brought somebody on. So that was what I used for about 2 years. I used that almost exclusively. I used Wirecast for some of my solo stuff like updates and so forth. And that's when I found StreamYard, and I knew instantly because the quality, I mean, at first I didn't want to even look at it, and I was like, I don't need another Be Live. I already got Be Live. But I remember Beauty Bubbles like, no, you really have to check this out. This is going to be a game changer or whatever. And once I went in and I saw it, I was like, yeah, it might look like Be Live, but this is next level stuff. They've got their own solution, and like it just worked from day one. And every time they add features, doesn't break it. It just works better. And I mean, that's been what I used to go live pretty much ever since. And, you know, I did a show for StreamYard, but I still today, you know, it's what I use and it's what I really love. And it makes it so easy to do this quality. We've never dropped off. I've never said refresh your browser, or you've never said. Oh yeah,
you used to have to always leave out and come back because people would say you've frozen.
Right. Or you're Gilberting. Remember that?
Yeah, you're Gilberting, which means the sound is off.
Right. Yeah, your audio's going in and out. So there's none of that with StreamYard. And, you know, they added the green screen and all these different things, all these different amazing features. They gave native multi-streaming, so you don't need another app for that.
That's right, because right now we are on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at the same time.
So it was it just totally took the browser-based live streaming to a much more professional level than it had ever been. Well,
I like it a lot, too. And in fact, before StreamYard, I used Get Vocal, which I still like, but StreamYard just got everybody beat. Yeah. I also tried Haps. Is it Hap or Haps? I think it's Haps.
I haven't tried that one. I tried Get Vocal. Get Vocal was fine. It's just
I don't like the layout.
I just love. I just love this. I'm used to this.
StreamYard is it.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's the top of the mountain for people from starting off to people who've been doing it. I mean, literally, they're pro broadcasters using it. So he sings that in the tone of the song Roxanne by the Police. Yeah.
Hey, Chris. Awesome. This is
great to see, Chris.
Now, another thing that I like about StreamYard is that they have a town hall meeting every Sunday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock for them because aren't they in Western Canada?
I'm
not in Western Canada.
They were. I don't know where they all work out of right now. I think they're distributed all over. You know, they got a bigger team now.
Yeah, I was going to say they have an actual team now. It's not just Gage and Dan. And it tickles me how Gage says Gage and Dan, of course. Like, of course, is Dan's last name. So Gage and Dan, of course. They're in, I believe, Canada. I think they met playing hockey.
Right.
Which is very Canadian, which is so incredibly Canadian. And now they have an actual team and all these different shows.
Yeah.
And Chris is actually waiting to see the book. Wednesday, Chris. Wednesday. The book will be available on Wednesday. Yes, indeed. So let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of live streaming, since I want to take advantage of the fact that you're an expert. A lot of people think that they need to have a mic like yours, and I do have a mic like yours. I'm not using it right now. Some people think you have to have the Logitech or some other kind of camera, but really all you need is whatever you have. If it's this, use this.
Yeah, I mean, the phone has a very good camera in it, better than any Logitech camera. And, you know, there may be reasons why you wouldn't use your phone. Like I like to have it handy to grab and use as a phone, so I don't use it for desktop live streaming. But it's a really good camera, and there are apps that can turn it into a web camera pretty easily. And the microphone, like you can also just go live with your phone. You don't need a computer. And the microphone from the phone is really good, so that'll pick up your voice. Obviously, you can add an external microphone. It'll improve it a little bit probably, but the phone's microphone is much better than your laptop's microphone or your webcam's microphone. If you're using a laptop or a computer, you can get a microphone like this. This is the Samsung Q2U. It's about $50 to $60 usually, and I mean it just sounds terrific. It's what I used for the first three years I was doing this, and you don't need an audio interface or a mixer or anything. You can plug it in USB. Right. It sounds good. You can listen to yourself back through the mic. It'll bring the audio from you, the person you're talking to, and from your own audio right back through the mic. So I mean, that and headphones, earbuds, or some other way to listen to avoid an echo. Exactly. And keep the sunshine in front of you, not behind you. Exactly. If the light is in front of you, whether it's, you can use house lamps, but obviously the sunshine is great light, great natural light.
I'm using a ring light right now.
Right.
And I have 3 ring lights. I mean, I'm only one is on right now, the floor mount ring light. Then I have a smaller ring light that's like maybe 10 inches. And then I have one that clips on the phone. There's actually ring lights that you can slip right over. They only cost $10. And you slip it over the phone so that when you're live streaming, if you don't have benefit of having the light on or in front of you, you can attach it to your phone. Right. And in fact, if you're going to use your phone, you can actually clip it to something. There's you can use a handheld handle and hold the phone aloft like that. You can attach a microphone to the phone. There you go, like that. I have something similar to that.
So instead of a camera on here, you have your phone on here, and you can walk around. You can, or just put it on your table, and as long as it's stable, then you're good to go.
You're good to go. And then you can, like I said, attach a mic. And you can I have a dual lav mic, Ross. It's really cool. The cable is like 20 feet long, so the person doesn't have to be strangled and So I have actually attached the lav to the person and attached the lav to myself, and have a 2-person conversation that's picked up perfectly by the phone. And there's so many different ways you can do this.
Good content beats good equipment every day. I mean, it's
about
what
Ross?
What
that's
you bring.
It right there, isn't it?
And then if you want, let your studio come up to the level of your content. Don't get your if you get your studio ahead of your content, you're going to feel like you're failing. You're going to I got this mic and I've got all this stuff, and I don't know what I'm doing. And and there's nobody watching, and I'm not in the beginning, it takes a little time to get warmed up, but literally you could go forever and never have to upgrade from the tools that Pat and I were talking about. It's you end up doing it for yourself. You get to a point, or if you're working for somebody else and live streaming is a part of your work, you may get to the point where you say, okay, I could sound a little bit better. But the difference between a $50, $60 mic and a $400 mic isn't $350 better. You sound a little bit better. A little bit better. And then that more expensive tool needs other tools for you to use it. So you'll need a mixer, an audio interface. You'll need a stronger boom arm to hold it up. Every step you go up, you make your life more complicated. So that's another reason to start simple, so you can focus on the content and not the technology. It's not about who's got the most tech or the most knowledge behind the scenes. It's do people enjoy listening to you or not? And then from there, you can always bring it up when the time is right for you.
There's something else, Ross, I need to bring up.
Sure.
Live streaming.
Yes.
Here's the thing. because I cover community news. I
Hmm.
publish the Durham Skywriters, an online community paper. I like
Right.
to cover local news sometimes events, whatever. Here's the thing. I see so many
Hmm.
TV stations rather, and they will live stream and never address the audience. To me, that is not live streaming.
Right.
To me,
Right.
that's still broadcasting. Broadcasting
Hmm.
is great. But my thing is the biggest difference to me between broadcasting and live streaming is that live streaming, where regular folks, in addition to that, you are addressing your audience. There's a back and forth. There's an intimacy with your
Hmm.
audience that you don't really get with broadcasting. When I was on WNCU, I did my show every week. I talked, I interviewed someone, and then I went home. I had no idea if anybody
Right.
was on the other side of the mic. No idea whatsoever. With live streaming, you can see how many people are watching. If they leave a comment, you can say hello to them. You can bring their comment on camera if you're using
Right.
something like StreamYard. To me, that makes a big difference because I will watch. I'm not going to call, I don't want to put anybody down, but there
Hmm.
is a local TV station. They broadcast a lot on Facebook. They're doing the right thing. They're bringing local events and press conferences to the people. But when people ask questions,
Hmm.
there's nobody there to answer the question because it's still a one-way broadcast.
Are they
You know,
taking what's on TV and just putting it on Facebook, or are they actually covering stuff that they're not covering live on TV and
they're
putting
at,
it on their Facebook page?
they're hmm, they're doing it in such a way that they are duplicating what they're doing with the big TV cameras. They're
Right.
simply pointing a phone or tablet or whatever at whatever it is they're talking about.
Right. Right.
So again, we are able to watch and hear what, like if people are watching from, on
But
television,
you're still
we're able to
treated
do
like a passive audience sitting there
exactly.
looking in on
Nobody's
it.
answering the questions. Nobody is uh, saying thank you for watching.
Hmm.
Subscribe to us on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. And to me, they're losing out
Right.
because
Right.
when Periscope first started with the live streaming, all of the news channels and radio stations, they jumped aboard immediately, but they
Right.
all left immediately for the most part because I don't think they ever caught on to the magic of live streaming, and that is talking with your audience. I don't
Right.
think they ever really figured that out, and I don't think they saw the benefit. And so as quickly as they all adopted Periscope, they left us as quickly. I
And
think they really missed out.
the audience makes the show better because I don't know everything about the guest that I'm interviewing or the topic I'm talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
somebody in the chat will know that person better than me and come up with a story or a question I should ask or
Yeah.
share an insight on the topic that I never would have thought about. And I can bring that in. At the same time, I give them a mention. They're contributing to the show. They're not just a passive audience. And that makes the show better, and you don't get that kind of feedback in traditional broadcasting.
Mm-hmm.
TV, highly scripted.
Yeah.
Radio, somewhat scripted, not always in the talk show format. It might not be scripted hardly at all, but you just don't have that real-time feedback where people are telling you, ask this, I want to know that, or,
Exactly.
what about this? Did you ever? I go, oh, I never would have thought to ask that. Let's bring that right in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that is so important. But
Yeah.
I want people to get your book. And
Thank you.
I do have the name of the book listed right here in the show notes. I will post the link to Amazon and to your website when you get that link. I'll be happy to
Sure.
do that. But I also want people to try their hand at live streaming because it's so fun. It's a great way to share information, to share your skills. I mean, we all know that musicians have been discovered
Mm.
while live streaming or while on YouTube.
Right.
And
Right.
I just think it's a beautiful way for the regular folks to get out there.
Yeah. And you don't have to, when you're starting out, think in terms of a show, a half an hour, an hour. You could literally go live on your Facebook page for 5 or 10 minutes and talk about something you're interested in, something that happened to you, something you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be talking about your business or, selling something. You could just go live and have fun talking about something you're passionate about. Maybe think about how you want to start, how you want to close it, and then everything else kind of falls into place and work up to it. Do a little bit more, but if you're connected to friends and family on your personal profile, you'll have somebody jump on, and start watching and say hello to them. And you'll probably enjoy it. You'll probably get bitten by the bug pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. And it's another way, of course, we all know about people who have shown acts of police brutality. Issues like that are being addressed. They weren't really being addressed before. That's also a good way to show what's happening in your community, especially if you're from the type of community that usually gets ignored unless something really exciting happens, whatever community that might be or communities. Mm-hmm. Now you don't have to wait and you don't have to beg the journalist to come out. Now you can, hey, Shannon, I haven't heard from Shannon in a minute. Talk about live streaming. Shannon is on more than once a day. She is like a master at live streaming. Hello, Shannon. Definitely. She needs to come back on my show. We need to talk, Shannon. But she does an awful lot of good.
There's no gatekeepers with live streaming. If you have a Facebook account or a YouTube account or a Twitter account, you can go live as much or as little as you want to. Within reason, you can talk about what you want. It's not free of censorship, but in general, you have a lot more leeway than you would if you had to go audition for a program director and get in and have sponsors and all that. You have so much freedom to cover and talk about what you want to talk about and shine that camera on what you see and what's around you. It's really, that's what makes it special. When I wanted to work in radio, I had to get past the gatekeepers. I had to impress somebody, and I had to, sort of dance to their tune in order to earn a living at it. With this, it's your canvas. You paint it the way you want it to. You use the brushes you like and the colors you like, and you fill it up to be what you want it to be. And that freedom's exciting, and it comes with challenges as well, because you have to build, like I was saying, when we start out, you do have to build an audience. If you want to have an audience, you may just enjoy going live, and it may be you connect with a small group of people and they love it, and that in itself has tremendous value. You could have a live stream where only 3 people watch, but one of those people decides they want to hire you or work with you or be your friend or what have you. And,
that's how people have gotten sponsors and other business agreements.
Right.
I got to ask you this, Ross. This will be my last question. I was expecting the development of some hybrid form of broadcasting. What's the gentleman's name? Is it Mario Armstrong?
Yeah.
He had this strange, interesting show. It was like a live streaming, but broadcast TV type show, didn't he?
It was the Never Settle show. I actually did a pre-show for that live from, he filmed it in New York, or went live in New York. And it was very much like a hybrid, because he had professional crew and production set up and everything, but at the same time it was live streamed, and he brought in from social. He brought in people from social. So, comments from Twitter and Instagram and questions to the audience. Since then, he's moved into podcasting, and he does a YouTube show, and he does a lot of speaking. But so I was part of that first season. I did a pre-show where I would go live. He actually had a pre-show event where, the people who came to because you could attend, there was an in-person audience. Right. And different sponsors would set up their little tables, and there was a band and all this stuff, and it was great. And I was just literally taking this kind of thing and walking around, and I was interviewing the people who are going to be on the show and all that. And that first season actually won an Emmy. And then the second season, he moved to NASDAQ, and they did it at NASDAQ. I wasn't part of the second. I wasn't part of the second season, but I believe it was still a live stream show. But after a few seasons of live streaming, he got into doing a podcast, and he's been doing, I think, shorter form recorded shows. But the show's still there on Mario Armstrong's
now that's
website.
That's one guy.
Yeah.
And I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that was going to usher in a new hybrid form of broadcasting or live streaming. And I don't know if he was ahead of his time. Do you think, since we're talking about predictions,
right,
do you think that's going to happen again? Because I thought it was very creative, and I thought it had a huge amount of potential.
Well, I mean, I loved it. I loved being a part of it. I loved being there and watching the show after the pre-show was done, just sitting there and watching how it all unfolded. But I think it's extremely expensive. Now, Mario's got
where's the cost come in?
He had like 5 professional cameras and camera people. He had a technical director. He had, a floor manager. Like, he had a whole crew.
Well, I didn't know about all that.
Production assistants, marketing people. He had a whole crew of paid people that were a part of that. And that I imagine is quite expensive. I don't know the breakdown and what that costs and stuff, but in New York City especially, I imagine because
everything is union in New York.
Now I don't know if doing digital gets you outside of some of that if you're not going on broadcast, but it's So I think that it's a lot of moving parts and it's a lot of expense in comparison to what we're doing here, right? It's you need a location, you need, but I mean, he was literally doing like an Oprah almost style show, not the same kind of show, but the same kind of like talk show thing that we're used to seeing on TV, except with an audience that he was interacting with and with taking comments and interactivity from social.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was fun.
I never gave a thought to how much that probably cost. I had no idea.
I imagine it cost a lot. I mean, just because you have to pay all those people and all that equipment, and you've got to get that space and.
Oh yeah, not to mention the space. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm still thinking somebody's going to figure out how to do that maybe in a more cost-effective way. Maybe you don't need 5 cameras. Right. And Shannon is saying that it was very interesting. It looked really, to me, it was a game changer, in my opinion. I'm thinking maybe
I called it the Super Bowl of live streaming when I got there the first day. I was so excited. I'm like, this is the Super Bowl of live streaming. This is where you have to be right now. Maybe a TV network or TV channel that has really big budget decides they want to have live streaming content on their social channels that's different from what they're broadcasting on TV. And they decide, or they want to take this format and do both, put it on TV. And but I think long run, if the sort of the bigger players don't buy into it, like that have the really big budgets. Yeah.
Because I think it can be done. Because I can imagine the local broadcasting stations having a local doing again what Mario Armstrong did and have a show that's both live streaming and in the studio broadcasting out. I think that could be done. I don't think it would cost that much.
I think people are doing it on a lesser scale with virtual events. where they're maybe creating a virtual studio and they
I
don't
think
have
somebody
everybody
like
there.
Carlos Phoenix could do it.
He
That's
might.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, because he's got his own network already, but I think he's on the cutting edge in a way. We need to keep our eye on that guy because he's a clever guy. He's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Carlos Phoenix. Find him on Facebook. He's
in the
really
book too.
Creative. Oh, he is. That's right.
Yeah.
Throw out some other names. Just go ahead and name drop.
Okay.
Ross.
Carlos Phoenix, Jenny Q, I mentioned, does the forward. We have, let's see, we have Dave Jackson, the podcaster, great podcaster. He also live streams. Rob Greenlee, podcaster, also live streams. Louise McDonald is a great live streamer and social media person. Coach Jenny, you remember from the Blab days?
Yes, of course. Absolutely.
She's phenomenal. Let's see. John Burke from Al Roker Entertainment is in the book. Ja Rule is in the book.
Okay.
Let's see, who else is in the book?
Dr.
So many
Tachi,
people.
Terry Johnson.
Dr. Tachi, Terry Johnson. Tony, who was here earlier, is in the book.
Oh, cool.
Who else from the, trying to think back to the Blab days. Like everybody just kind of comes together now into one well, there's YouTubers like Nick Nimmin and D Nimmin, Dan Courier, Shelly Saves the Day, Kevin Colby, let's see who else. Jessica Phillips is in the book. There's a lot of people. I mean, there's 100 of them.
Exactly, 100. And let's give the name again. And there is a subtitle. The full name is 100 Live Streaming and Digital Media Predictions. And then it says, top content creators help you succeed in an era of rapid change. Boy, was that dramatic. Oh, Barb wants to know if I don't remember seeing the name of Roberto Blake.
Not in this. He was in some of the predictions, but he didn't jump at it.
Now, when you say rapid change, are you talking about the live streaming world or the post-COVID world, or what?
I'm talking about the digital world in general.
Okay.
You never know what's next, right? And I think one of the big themes is the integration of e-commerce and live streaming, where eventually you'll be able to interview an author and somebody just taps their screen and their credit card information is in Facebook or whatever. Boom.
Now, Ross,
I think that's coming to Instagram already, but I mean.
But you know what? I have interviewed a person, and then someone typed out in the comments, just bought his book on Amazon.
Right.
During the interview. And I'm like, whoa, how about that?
But I mean, it's going to get even easier. And I mean, I think live streaming is kind of the call to get attention and get interest. But I think it's also going to be, eventually it's going to be where we're actually making the transactions. It's where we're actually selling and buying things right within the lot without ever leaving the live stream. I think that's what people see coming as a big change. And the other thing is virtual events. I think they're not going away. I think we're going to go back to in-person.
Yeah.
But I'll give you an example. Okay, I got a ticket last year to Podcast Movement. And once it shut down and they moved your ticket to the next year. And for about 30 seconds, I was thinking, well, maybe I should go. I got the ticket. I already paid for it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call up and I'm going to see if I can switch it to virtual, because, I mean, the expense of flying and a hotel even though I'm vaccinated, I don't really want to risk anything yet at this point. I'm not ready for a big crowded event. I don't know if I am yet.
Not quite yet.
So I think there's a huge value to virtual events, particularly when they can have certain of the elements, like there's a networking, there's expo, there's a virtual meeting room where you can hang out, a virtual lounge, music, different elements. Of course, the main content has to be good, but I think that's going to be a niche of its own, right? And we're still going to have live events, and we're still going to have in-person events, but I think virtual is going to be its own category, and that's going to be sort of a next level live streaming.
I agree with you. I actually got to DJ for Zeph Zan.
Oh,
She
wow.
had a special Idol Fitri show, and that is their holiday season
Right.
in Malaysia. And I got to play Malaysian music and other music in the lounge for her event, which was
very cool.
in Malaysia, which is crazy because I think she lives on the East Coast. I'm in North Carolina.
Right.
So I was playing the music at 10:30 at night, and it was 10:30 in the morning. They were just opening up in Malaysia. And I was like, this live streaming thing is cool.
It is.
Now, you do know that StreamYard, the platform that we're on right now, they were purchased by a live stream event company.
Yep.
So I think that really lets us know that even though I'm not really caught up on it, we need to pay attention and to really consider these the ability now to put on, like you said, virtual events and to hopefully make a interesting.
I think it's really powerful.
Hybrid, yeah.
Because if you can make it like an experience to where it's not just going, like a lot of people do these virtual summits that they do them right on Facebook, right? They just broadcast. So it just seems like any other live stream, right? People come, they go, they drop in, whatever. But when you put it on an event platform and you make it feel like an event, it's sort of like, instead of, oh, I'm going to drop in and watch a live stream for a little bit, it's like I'm going to an event today.
Yeah.
And the watch time goes up, the interaction goes up. I did one virtual event that was it was an 8-hour live stream, and I mean, I was so floored by the watch. I mean, the average attendee stayed for more than half of it.
Nice.
I mean, you know as well as I do, when you look at your Facebook metrics, you want to cry when it's like, oh, 63% of the people didn't turn their volume on, right?
Oh, boy.
People didn't stay 10 seconds, So I was just floored by that. I'm actually doing a book launch party on Thursday night, and I'm going to do it on Hopin. So everybody's invited to that. It's free.
Okay.
And
you write that down. Thursday, Hopin, and that's
7 to 9 p.m. Eastern.
7 to 9 Eastern.
And I'm gonna have some of the people from the book are gonna drop in and hang out. And
so, should I get that link from you and then post it in the show notes as well?
Yeah, it's livestreamuniverse.com/book party.
Oh,
and that'll take you right to the landing page on Hopin, and you just literally click the button to get a free ticket, but you have to register with Hopin. That's their rule. So
will do. Well, thanks again, Ross. Boy, was it fun. And Shannon, she's the one with the phrases. I think she's the one. I really think she's the one who came up with the yard for StreamYard.
Right.
So now she's saying what's popping with Hopin. And Hopin, isn't that the company that bought StreamYard?
That is.
Yeah, okay. So what's popping with Shannon is so clever with the sayings. So any more shout outs or anything that we missed, Ross? Because I'd love to have you back.
I'd love to come back. I mean, this has been so much fun, and it's been so interesting looking back on radio and the early days of live streaming through what's going on today. And thanks for doing all you've done to promote the book and taking an early look at it and giving me some feedback and everything. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I'm guessing, since over your shoulder, quite prominently displayed, where it says Livestream Universe, I'm guessing you want us to visit that website, livestreamuniverse.com?
Yeah, that's the website. And in fact, if you want to read the first chapter, it's really actually going to be listed as an introduction. So the chapters are 1 to 100. With the predictions, you can go to livestreamuniverse.com/Ross book. and
Okay.
you can get a free chapter, and you'll also probably get some updates from me on what's going on with the book and when it's live, and you can buy it and so forth if you'd like.
How exciting. Thanks again, Ross. I think we've known each other for at least 5 years, at least.
Yeah.
So, and live streaming really brings people together. It is the best. It is just so fun. And I really want more people to get up the nerve and the guts, because it's not that it's not difficult. I think the hardest thing for people to realize is how fun it is.
Yeah.
I know so many people who are self-conscious, and I'm like, I'm funny looking. I could have better teeth. I mean, my hair's graying.
Right.
I don't care. I mean, I'm out here doing my thing. I'm interviewing.
I got the
interviewing
COVID
people.
sideburns.
I mean, I'm sharing information. I'm introducing you to people.
Right.
I mean, I can't imagine. I couldn't do all of this on radio. I just couldn't.
I couldn't imagine going through, and I mentioned this in the book, that I couldn't imagine going through this pandemic without live streaming.
Oh my God. Actually,
Without
that
live
is
video.
why. That's primarily why I switched from doing Bull City Notes to Bull City Hangout.
Right.
Because Bull City Notes was a daily show where I was telling people, okay, give me 7 minutes. I'll tell you what's happening today in Durham. I want to respect your time.
Right.
And then when I realized people were isolated and really needed to reach out and talk, I made it Bull City Hangout. My show will still be short if nobody hops on and joins me, but they have the opportunity, if they want to click on the link that I provide and join me. They don't have to be in or from Durham. It's a great way to share jokes, recipes, hang out, ask questions, etc. You're invited, Ross. Please come out when the book is ready on Wednesday, whatever day you choose. Just click on the link, and I would love to see you actually hold up the book.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take till I can get a physical copy. I guess if it goes live on Amazon on Wednesday, maybe a couple days. Maybe Friday I could drop in and hold up the book, or maybe it won't be till the week after, but I could hold up a Kindle.
We can do that.
Or a phone. I could hold up the cell phone with the ebook.
Because when I ask authors what it feels like to actually hold the book in your hands, they say it's magical.
Yeah. There's
It's
something,
like, look, this is my book.
I mean, it's something special about doing a book. I mean, this is my first time, and it really, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. It's really cool.
Well, when you hop on Bull City Hangout, I would love to see you hold that book aloft so that we can throw you all kinds of thumbs ups and whatnot. So thanks again, Ross. And folks, thank you for watching. Almost said Bull City Hangout. TV Skywriter. I have 2 shows. So if you want to be on the show, just let me know. I love talking with people. And I love to introduce you to really cool people like Ross Brand, who I invite to come on again.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So folks, have a beautiful day. And Ross, I want you to enjoy the credits. And my voice cracked. Because I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this. So I will say goodbye to you, Ross, and goodbye, audience. See you next time. Check out these credits, Ross. Here we go.